sentences in relation to assaults that cause death and other serious assaults that will ensure that there are increased maximum penalties where alcohol and drugs have been involved in assaults, that will remove the mitigating circumstance or the excuse, if you like, when it comes to sentencing that someone was under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and that sits alongside existing provisions that take account of age and vulnerability of victims when it comes to these matters, and that will also enable empower police to undertake drug and alcohol testing of offenders who they believe have been engaged in drug and alcohol related assaults. Can I finally make this point before I run through some of the measures? This is not about penalising responsible drinkers. It is about attacking the irresponsible acts of those who allow themselves to be intoxicated, whether by drugs or alcohol. We need a clear message on this, and what we're doing today through this package, a package that will be implemented in some cases immediately, some short-term, some long-term, is sending the clearest possible message that alcohol and drug-fuelled violence, not just in the Sydney CBD, but across this state, are unacceptable, and that there will be serious consequences for those who engage in it. Can I just make the point about some of the measures that are being introduced? I've referred to the fact that there will be an 8-year mandatory minimum sentence for those who offend our one-punch laws when they're under the influence of drugs or alcohol. The one-punch law will have a 20-year maximum, but it will be a 25-year maximum with a minimum where drugs and alcohol are involved. Why the difference? Because we're sending a clear message about alcohol and drug-induced violence. Equally, there will be additional maximum penalties increased by 2 years for serious assaults where those people are engaged with drugs and alcohol during those assaults. Mandatory minimums will apply there as well. There will be the introduction of a 1:30 lockout of licensed premises across a new expanded Sydney CBD precinct. There'll be an end to drinks at 3 a.m. This is about trying to send a very clear message to the industry that yes, you can continue to trade after 3 o'clock, but drinks will cease at 3 o'clock. There'll be new statewide closing time of 10 p.m. for bottle shops across New South Wales. Licensed venues alone are not the source of all of the alcohol problems across New South Wales. Bottle shops have to play their role as well, and we think that it's appropriate that all bottle shops across the state should be closed by at least 10 o'clock. There'll be an increase in the penalty for the possession or illegal use of steroids. Currently in New South Wales, the maximum penalty is 2 years. In Victoria, it is 25 years. It will be increased to the Victorian level. There will be increased on-the-spot fines available to police to deal with disorderly behaviour in some of these areas across New South Wales. So, for instance, someone who engages in disobeying a police move-on order and continues to behave in a disorderly and intoxicated manner will be subject to a fine of $1,100, up currently from the $200 fine that exists. There'll be a multi-million-dollar community awareness program that I've referred to. There'll be free buses running every 10 minutes from King's Cross on Friday and Saturday nights to connect with those night rider services that normally start around Town Hall or Central Station. We'll remove, as I said, the mitigating factor or the defence of being affected by drug and alcohol when it comes to sentencing in our courts. We will enable police to impose immediate bans within the precinct or across the whole precinct for those troublemakers across this expanded CBD precinct. We'll impose periodic risk-based licences for licensed venues across New South Wales, and there will be across the new expanded CBD precinct a freeze on new liquor licences for new clubs and for new pubs. I'm happy to take questions on any and all of these issues, but my simple message is today that the Minister for Police, the Attorney-General, the Minister for Hospitality, Gaming and Racing have worked with me and the Cabinet to put together this package, a package of measures that seek to target the problems where they exist, whether they're in the CBD or whether they're across the state, because the message we're sending with mandatory minimum sentences is whether the assault occurs in King's Cross or George Street or in Wilcannia or other centres across Wagga or other centres across New South Wales, you will face a minimum mandatory of 8 years if you are convicted. And that's our message today. Those who think...
All right, we'll leave that there. New South Wales Premier Barry O'Farrell there talking at Parliament, introducing mandatory minimum sentences for one-punch offenders, and we'll have plenty more on those tough new measures introduced to Cabinet throughout the day on 9 News. For now, though, we will get all the sports news. Erin, it is back to you.